My wife cheated during her 3-week wedding trip, claiming I was too cold and too logical. When she came back, everyone had a front row seat to watch her entire life unravel. I am 34, and I work as a financial analyst for a mid-sized logistics company in Denver. My job is stable, structured, and honestly predictable. I like that. I work long hours during quarterly reporting, I plan things in spreadsheets, and I have never pretended to be the emotional type. I am not cold, just measured. At least that is how I see it. My wife Jenna is 32. We have been married for 4 years and together for 7. We own a townhouse together and share everything financially. No kids. She works in marketing for a boutique fitness brand and thrives on attention, events, and constant social interaction. Opposites attract, or so we told ourselves. The issue started around our wedding anniversary this year. Jenna had the idea of what she called a 3-week wedding trip, not a honeymoon, since that ship sailed years ago. She framed it as reclaiming romance. She said we had become boring and transactional. I suggested a week in Italy since that fit my schedule and budget. She said that was exactly my problem. Everything reduced to logistics. She insisted on going alone for 3 weeks through Spain and southern France to find herself and reconnect with her sense of passion. I did not love the idea. I also did not forbid it. We are adults. I told her clearly that if she needed space, I would respect it, but I would not chase her emotionally across Europe. Before she left, she accused me of being too cold and too logical to fight for her. She wanted grand gestures, airport tears, dramatic speeches. Instead, I drove her to the airport, helped her with her bags, and told her to text when she landed. That was apparently proof that I did not care. 3 weeks later, she came back different. Not guilty, not distant, confident, smug even. And what happened next was not a slow burn. It was a chain reaction that everyone around us ended up watching in real time. She walked in the front door with a tan that looked expensive and a suitcase that looked heavier than what she left with. First thing she did was look around the living room like she was inspecting a rental. Then she asked why the house smelled like cleaning products. I told her I did a deep clean while she was gone. She rolled her eyes and said, "Of course you did. You probably made a checklist." Jenna had this sharp energy the whole night. She talked fast, laughed at her own jokes, and kept checking her phone face down on the counter like it was a reflex. I tried to keep it normal. I made pasta. I asked about the trip. She gave me highlight reel answers: beaches, wine, new friends, long talks, healing. All the words that sound meaningful without saying anything. When I asked who she traveled with most days, she got snippy. She said I was interrogating her and that I was proving her point. Too cold, too logical, too focused on facts instead of feelings. Then she added, with that little smirk she does, that maybe she needed someone who could actually make her feel wanted. I did not react the way she wanted. I just said okay, and asked if she was saying she regretted being married. That set her off. She snapped that everything with me turns into a courtroom. She said marriage is not a contract, and I treat it like one. The next morning she slept in. I went to work. By lunch I had 3 separate texts from people who know us. Not close friends, more like mutuals. First was my cousin, who follows her on social media. He asked if we were in an open relationship now. Second was a coworker I barely talked to saying, "Hey man, is everything all right at home?" Third was from Jenna's friend Talia, who I have always found fake nice. She said we should talk when you have time. I did not respond to any of them right away. I opened Instagram and went to Jenna's story highlights. She had added a new one titled wedding trip like it was a brand campaign. Most of it was normal travel stuff. Then I saw a clip from a rooftop bar where a guy's hand was on her waist. Another clip where she was laughing and someone off camera called her babe. She did not correct it. She posted it. I felt my stomach drop, but it was more clarity than panic. It was like the math finally balanced. When I got home that night, Jenna was in the bathroom taking selfies, making the same face over and over. I asked her one simple question. Who is he? She did not even pretend not to understand the question. She kept brushing her hair, looking at herself in the mirror instead of at me, and said, "Who is who?" The way she said it was deliberate, like she was daring me to say it clearly. I told her I saw the videos. The rooftop, the hand on her waist, the guy calling her babe. I kept my voice even. I was not yelling. I was not shaking. I just wanted a straight answer. She turned around slowly and leaned against the counter. Then she laughed. Not nervous laughter. Dismissive laughter. She said, "You are unbelievable. I go away for 3 weeks, and instead of missing me, you are playing detective on Instagram." I said, "I am not playing detective. I am responding to what you publicly posted." That is when the mask slipped a little. She crossed her arms and said, maybe if you were less cold and less logical, I would not have needed someone who actually made me feel alive. That was her version of confirmation. I asked directly if she slept with him. She rolled her eyes and said, why does it always have to be about sex with you? Maybe intimacy is more than that. Maybe emotional connection matters. I repeated the question, yes or no. She hesitated for half a second. Then she said yes. And honestly, it was not even a big deal. It just happened. You were basically emotionally absent anyway. That sentence is important, because that is when something in me shut off completely. Not rage, not heartbreak, just clarity. I told her calmly that cheating is not something that just happens. It requires a sequence of choices. Plane tickets, drinks, private rooms, repeated decisions. She clapped her hands slowly like I had proven her point. See, this is what I mean. Everything with you is a lecture. No passion, no fight. I told her there would not be a fight. I said if you decided to step outside the marriage, then I am stepping out of it too. Logically. She scoffed and said I was overreacting and being dramatic. Dramatic. After she spent 3 weeks with another man. But here's where things started shifting in a way she did not anticipate. Because while she was busy framing this as me being emotionally deficient, other people had been watching her 3-week highlight reel unfold in real time. And not everyone saw it as romantic self-discovery. I did not yell. I did not slam anything. I walked past her into our bedroom and pulled 2 large suitcases out of the closet. She followed me, still talking, still trying to frame the situation as some deep emotional awakening. She said, this is exactly why I could not talk to you. You go straight to logistics, straight to consequences. No nuance. I opened her dresser and started folding her clothes. Neatly, the same way I always do when we travel. At first she laughed. She genuinely thought I was trying to scare her. She said, stop being ridiculous. You are not actually kicking me out. This is my house too. That part mattered. Because technically it is. Both our names are on the mortgage. I am not pretending otherwise. But what is also true is that I handle the payments from my account and she transfers her share monthly. It is traceable, clean, documented. I told her calmly that since she decided to step outside the marriage, I was not interested in cohabitating while we sorted this out. I said she could stay with one of the many friends who cheered on her wedding trip. Her expression changed then. Not guilt. Irritation. She said, you are being dramatic. It was just sex. It did not mean anything. I zipped the first suitcase. I said it meant enough for you to risk the marriage publicly. That is not nothing. She started getting louder, accusing me of punishing her, of proving that I never loved her properly, of weaponizing stability. I kept packing. Work clothes, shoes, toiletries. I was careful not to touch anything that was clearly joint property. I was not trying to create a scene that would backfire legally. I know how this works. I know that forcing someone out illegally can cause problems. So I told her clearly she was free to come back for anything else later with notice. I was not locking her out permanently tonight. I was setting a boundary. She called me heartless. Said most husbands would fight for their wives. I said I do not compete with strangers for someone who is supposed to be committed to me. By the time both suitcases were by the door, her phone was buzzing. Probably Talia. Probably someone she told about the confrontation already. I opened the front door and stepped aside. She stood there for a full 10 seconds, waiting for me to crack. I did not. What she did not realize yet was that this was not the most public part of her life unraveling. That part was about to start without me lifting another finger. She grabbed the suitcases with this exaggerated sigh, like she was the one being wronged. On her way out, she said, you are going to regret this when you calm down. I told her I am calm now. She left. I closed the door and locked it. Not out of spite, just habit. Then I sat at the kitchen table and opened my laptop. The first thing I did was email a divorce attorney a colleague had recommended last year. Not because I was planning this, but because in finance you hear things. I asked for a consultation and outlined the situation factually. Shared mortgage. No kids. Infidelity admitted. Public social media evidence. Then I screenshotted everything from her wedding trip highlight. Every video. Every caption. The rooftop bar. The beach clip with the same guy in 3 different outfits across different cities. Patterns matter. Around 9 that night my phone started lighting up. Her friend Talia texted first. She said Jenna was hysterical and claiming I threw her out with no warning. That I was emotionally abusive and controlling. I responded once. I said she admitted to sleeping with someone during the trip and I chose not to cohabitate while pursuing separation. That was it. Then my cousin called. Apparently, screenshots of Jenna's stories had been circulating in our extended family group chat. Her calling another man my European distraction under a photo where he was kissing her neck did not land the way she thought it would. She had curated her audience online assuming everyone would see it as romantic rebellion. Instead, it looked reckless. Married woman on a self-described wedding trip openly attached to someone else. By midnight, her mother called me. Not to yell, to ask quietly if it was true. I said yes. I did not embellish. I did not insult Jenna. I just stated facts. 3-week solo trip. Affair. Admission. Her mother went silent for a long time. Then she said, Jenna told us you were distant and unloving. I said I might be reserved, but I am not unfaithful. The next morning, I woke up to a message from Jenna herself. The tone had shifted. Less smug. More urgent. She said we need to talk because this is getting out of control. The thing is, I had not posted anything. I had not made announcements. I had simply stopped protecting her version of the story. Her message said we need to talk because this is getting out of control. I read it twice. What she meant by out of control was that people were not reacting the way she expected. She assumed I would stay quiet, absorb the humiliation, and quietly work on us while she framed the narrative as emotional growth. Instead, I did nothing except confirm the truth when asked. Within hours, I started getting indirect updates. A mutual friend told me Jenna had tried to explain the affair as a temporary separation that we both agreed on. That was not true. There was no separation. There was no discussion about opening anything. There was her deciding she needed passion and finding it. She called me 3 times that afternoon. I let it ring out. Then she sent a long text accusing me of turning people against her. She said I was manipulating the situation by staying calm and making her look unstable. That part almost made me laugh. I was not campaigning. I was simply not covering for her. Around 5 in the evening, she sent a voice message. I did not play it. I do not need theatrics to understand the situation. Instead, I responded with one final message. I wrote that I have contacted an attorney. That communication going forward should be limited to logistics regarding property and legal process. I also wrote that I expect honesty if anyone asks me what happened. I will not lie to protect her image. She replied instantly. So you are just done. Just like that. 7 years, and you are done over one mistake. I stared at that word. Mistake. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. A mistake is booking the wrong flight. A 3-week affair across multiple cities is not a mistake. It is a choice repeated over and over. I did not argue the definition. I simply blocked her number. Then I blocked her on every platform. Not to punish her. To prevent the cycle. I know how this works. Emotional people escalate when they lose control of the narrative. I removed myself from the audience. After that, I emailed her stating that further communication should go through attorneys. That same night, her European distraction posted a photo of them together from Barcelona. It was dated 2 days before she came home. He had no idea he was the opening act in her public collapse. And by the next morning, neither did she. I did not have to post anything for things to escalate. By midweek, her European distraction figured out he was not part of some empowering travel romance. Someone sent him screenshots of her wedding photos. The actual wedding. White dress. First dance. The townhouse we bought together. Apparently, he did not know she was married. That detail mattered more than anything else. He deleted the Barcelona photo within hours. Then he unfollowed her. Then he posted a vague story about honesty and transparency in relationships. I only know this because my cousin, who now seemed invested in the saga, kept sending updates without commentary. Jenna tried calling from a different number that night. I did not answer. She emailed instead. The tone was different now. Less defensive. More frantic. She said I embarrassed her. That I could have handled this privately. That now her job was asking questions because clients had seen the posts and the sudden disappearance of the highlight. Her marketing role depends on image. And her image was cracking. I responded once through email. I said I did handle it privately. I did not announce anything. I did not contact her employer. I did not tag anyone. The only thing I did was decline to lie when directly asked. She wrote back saying I knew what would happen if I did not defend her. That my silence was intentional. Here's the thing. Silence is not aggression. It is neutrality. And neutrality feels hostile only when someone needs you to distort reality on their behalf. By Friday, her mother called again. This time not to verify facts. To apologize. She said Jenna was staying with them temporarily and barely leaving the guest room. Extended family had opinions. Her father was furious, not at me, but at the public humiliation of it all. I told her mother, I am not trying to destroy Jenna. I am ending a marriage that she stepped out of. Later that night, my attorney confirmed our consultation for Monday morning. He also advised me not to engage directly anymore. So I did something simple and decisive. I changed the passwords on every shared account. Streaming, utilities, cloud storage. Not maliciously, just to separate access. I sent documentation through email outlining what bills I would continue paying until temporary agreements were drafted. I was not reacting emotionally. I was closing a contract. And for someone who accused me of being too logical, she was about to learn exactly how destabilizing logic can be when you are the one who ignored it. Monday morning, I met with the attorney downtown before work. I brought everything. Screenshots, mortgage statements, joint account summaries, the email where she admitted to sleeping with him. I did not dramatize anything. I laid out a timeline. Trip departure, public posts, admission, removal from the house with notice and documented access for retrieval. He appreciated that. Clean timelines make clean cases. Because there are no kids and both of us are employed, he said this would likely move quickly. Colorado is not interested in moral theatrics. Infidelity does not guarantee financial punishment. Assets get divided. Debts get divided. Done. I was fine with that. What I was not fine with was the version of events she was now attempting to circulate. By Tuesday afternoon, a mutual friend sent me screenshots of Jenna's new narrative. She was telling people that I emotionally neglected her for years, that the trip was her breaking point, that the affair happened after she decided internally the marriage was already over. That detail was strategic. It reframes cheating as post-separation. Except it was not true. We were still sharing a bed the week before she left, still planning a kitchen renovation, still discussing holiday plans with both families. There was no declaration of separation, no discussion, just her decision. That evening I received an email from her, not emotional this time. Calculated. She suggested we consider reconciliation privately to avoid further damage to both our reputations. She said if we presented this as a mutual break, things could settle down. She even implied that if I pursued divorce aggressively, she would have to share more about my emotional shortcomings publicly. That was the first real threat. I forwarded the email directly to my attorney and did not respond. An hour later, he called me. He said, "Do not engage. This reads like someone realizing consequences are real. Document everything." So I did. Meanwhile, her European distraction apparently blocked her completely. I found that out indirectly when Talia texted me accusing me of sabotaging something real. I did not answer. I had already blocked Jenna. Talia followed shortly after. By the end of that week, Jenna was not glowing from a transformative wedding trip. She was back in her childhood bedroom, fielding calls from clients who had seen screenshots, trying to salvage a version of events that kept shifting. And I had not raised my voice once. The unraveling was not loud. It was administrative. The official divorce filing happened 3 weeks after she got back from Europe. There is something surreal about signing paperwork that reduces 7 years into assets and liabilities. The townhouse, the shared savings, the car in her name, the retirement contributions. Everything gets categorized and divided with clinical detachment. Jenna tried one more angle before the papers were served. She emailed asking if we could meet in person. Neutral location. Just to talk. She said lawyers escalate things unnecessarily. She said we owed it to our history to at least sit down face to face. I considered it for about 5 minutes. Then I asked myself a simple question. What new information could possibly emerge from that conversation that would change my decision? There was none. The facts were established. She chose to sleep with someone else during what she branded as a romantic rediscovery trip. She posted it publicly. She framed me as emotionally defective when confronted. Only when the external consequences hit did she pivot toward damage control. So I declined the meeting through my attorney. That same week, something else shifted. Her company quietly removed her from an upcoming campaign she was leading. No public statement, just reassignment. In marketing, reputation is currency. And she had gambled hers on a storyline that did not land well. Mutual friends stopped engaging with her posts. Some unfollowed. Others distanced themselves. Not because I campaigned against her. I did not. But people are uncomfortable with visible betrayal, especially when it is documented in high resolution. I heard through her mother that Jenna was now blaming everyone else. Me for being too logical. The European guy for not standing by her. Her friends for not defending her loudly enough. Personal accountability never entered the script. The temporary orders came through soon after. We would sell the townhouse and split the equity. Until then, I would continue living there and covering the mortgage, which would be accounted for in final division. Clean. Traceable. When she came by with her father to collect the rest of her things, I was not there. That was intentional. My attorney advised minimal contact. Apparently, she cried. Apparently, she said I turned into a stranger overnight. What she did not understand is that I did not turn into anything. I simply stopped negotiating with reality. The townhouse sold 2 months later. We accepted a reasonable offer. Not inflated. Not emotional. Just market value. I signed my portion electronically from my office during a lunch break between budget reviews. There was something fitting about finalizing my marriage the same way I close out quarterly reports. Jenna and I did not speak during that process. Everything ran through attorneys. Funds were distributed according to agreement. Clean break. No dramatic courtroom scenes. No last-minute confessions. About a week after the sale closed, she sent one final email. Not about logistics. About us. She wrote that she never expected everything to spiral like this. She said she thought I would fight harder. That my calmness made her feel replaceable. She admitted she wanted to provoke a reaction before the trip, to force me into some grand emotional display. When that did not happen, she leaned into the attention she was getting abroad. She said the affair felt validating at the time. Validating. She ended the email by saying she hoped one day I would understand why she did what she did. I read it once. Then I archived it. Understanding does not require agreement. I understand that she confused intensity with intimacy. I understand that she interpreted steadiness as indifference. I understand that public attention can distort judgment when someone is already dissatisfied. What I do not accept is the idea that betrayal is a reasonable tool for self-discovery. I moved into a smaller place closer to downtown. Shorter commute. Fewer shared memories attached to walls. Work remained steady. Predictable. Structured. People occasionally still ask what happened. I give the same answer every time. She had an affair during a trip that was supposed to celebrate our marriage. I chose not to continue the marriage after that. No embellishment. No smear campaign. The strange part is that she was right about one thing. I am logical. And logic is simple. If someone shows you they would rather chase validation than honor commitment, you step aside and let them. Everyone had a front row seat to her unravel. I just declined to be part of the show.
Really obvious. You know, the last night was no bigger or smaller than any other night. It was just another night of just being boorish and belligerent and vomiting on myself and embarrassing the people I was with and humiliating myself and others. And it was just, it was happening every time and there was nothing I could do about it. The brain's really interesting. I had to learn a lot about brain anatomy and how brains work because there's a part of your brain called the hippocampus and that is involved in memory and it connects your somatic memory, your emotional kind of feeling with your essentially a historic memory. So you can have done something really that you regret and you can feel badly about that, but you never make the connection that this action caused this feeling because that's how we learn. All right, pain's an important. I've got this new documentary coming out